Okay, we're good to
Okay,
go.
I'd like to call the December 16th, 2021 Airport Commission meeting to order. Will the airport manager please call the roll?
Bias notified us that he would not be here. Eoff?
Here.
Toutfest, she notified us that she would not be here. Olson?
I'm present.
Stenga?
Here. Yep. Here.
We have a quorum.
Approval of the agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda? Are there any objections to approving the agenda? I'm making this fast. Hearing none, the agenda is amended. As amended is approved. Approval of the minutes of the September 16th, 2021 regular meeting. Are there any changes to the minutes? Are there any objections to approving the minutes? Hearing none, the minutes are approved. Action item 4, the scheduled public comments and presentations. There are none. Action item number 5, recommending to the City Council the acceptance of the ARPA Airport Rescue Grant for $32,000. May I have a motion to recommend to the City Council the acceptance of the ARPA Airport Rescue Grant for $32,000?
Motion.
Second.
Report from the airport manager.
Thank you, Chair. Motion by Olson, second by Eoff. This request from the administration is a action item for the Airport Commission to provide their concurrence and recommendation for the City Council to accept the ARPA grant from the FAA through the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021. This is another segment of the COVID allocations from the federal government going through FAA. A lot of different airports were awarded money that could be used for expenses incurred at the airport on or after January 20th, 2022. Based on the size and category of our airport, we were awarded $32,000. Our plan is to use this towards operations, which is a very broad category of expenses in our annual budget. And we recommend that the Airport Commission make the motion as noted on the agenda.
Motion.
Are there any public comments on the item? I see none. Are there any commissioner comments on this item? Let's call for a vote.
Eoff?
Yes.
Olson?
Yes.
Stenga?
Yes.
All right, it passes.
Item 6, reports. Airport manager, reports from the airport manager.
Thank you, Chair Stenga. Just a few brief items to go over. The first one identified on the airport manager report was the runway rehabilitation project. This project, we've reached substantial completion. Again, this is the profile modification of the main runway. We replaced all of the edge lighting. We've essentially flattened the runway, all new asphalt, all new pavement markings, and new taxiway tie-ins. The project is currently at, let me second here, pay estimate number 10 got us at 97.6% complete in terms of finances. Substantial completion was issued in October 21st. I've got a fairly lengthy punch list of items to complete before final completion, many of which will occur in the spring when summer construction allows. Some of it can happen throughout the winter, particularly some of the electrical work. A lot of it has to do with the PAPIs and the nav aids. FAA is still working on a final punch list from their side of things in regards to the nav aids as well. One final thing to comment on that project. We'll wrap it up in the spring and have a final completion before the end of the fiscal year. One thing we just recently sought approval from FAA was the replacement of the constant current regulators, which supply power to the airfield lighting. They were, I think, installed in 1981 and have been fixed and repaired a number of times. They're making noises they should not make. We had the contractor perform a series of tests as directed by the electrical engineer and identified several safety issues as well as end-of-life issues and challenges with making replacements. So it's a good opportunity to ensure that we've got a reliable lighting system at the Soldotna Municipal Airport on the FAA's dime. So should these fail at any point, we would need to replace them immediately. They do have a long lead time. By incorporating these into the 100% federal share grant, the grant will pay for the replacement of these CCRs. So we just got concurrence from FAA for that approval, and we're going to execute a change order with the contractor to include that work into the project.
Nice job.
Next, anybody have any questions on the first item, runway rehab project update? The next item, capital improvement program update. This is just something I want to go over with the commission and I seek any feedback if they had particular capital improvement priorities or changes that they wanted to discuss. I want to get with FAA and coordinate with the FAA Anchorage office a little bit about our existing CIP plan and our master plan for a couple of different reasons. One, I want to make sure that they're up to date with what our priorities are. Secondly, with all the money coming through the federal government for different programs, I want the city to be poised and ready to be the recipient of any funds should we want to pursue them. In the phase one improvements, we've completed nearly everything in our CIP with the exception of some on-airport obstruction removal. Those are primarily trees that are on airport property within the airport, outside the airport fence, primarily in the west end on airport property. Certainly not on the refuge land where there are some technical obstructions. The other one is REALs, runway end identifier lights, is another one that we have identified as a priority. Wildlife gates, that's something we were trying to incorporate into a project. That's a small $25,000 one. And then finally, in the end of phase one, we've got some more airport equipment acquisition, a broom attachment for the loader, and then an end up with a sand spreader. Fortunately, we have not had to do much sanding, and we try not to do any. I don't think we've done any sanding yet this year and won't if we don't need to, but acquiring equipment is generally a positive thing for the airport and in the long run for the city. We do have a snow removal equipment building now that can house these things without impacting our city operations. So that's out there as a potential capital project to acquire some more equipment. Moving into phase two, which is projected as 2021, all the way to 2025. It gets a little bit more into the long-term stuff, land acquisition for a future runway expansion. One of them is the medium intensity approach lighting system with sequenced flashers. I want to say that's the Rabbit type runway identifying lights, MALSF, MALS, medium intensity approach lighting system. Some perimeter fencing work and extending the perimeter road, and then another airport grader purchase in the 2021 through 2025 timeframe. So these are just some excerpts from our existing CIP master plan. I plan to use this existing document to communicate with FAA and then just inquire with them about whether or not the city needed to be doing anything differently or be poised to be recipients of more federal dollars should we find a project that aligns with our needs and has money available. So just a quick update to the Airport Commission on some of the CIP documents and to solicit feedback if there are any projects out there that you guys see that are important to the.
The only thing that would come to mind, if the FAA has money, that if we had prospective developers of lease lots out there, and this is like out of left field, maybe somehow assist in the extension of utilities to promote more hangar development on the west end lease lots.
Excellent. I will look into that.
I just,
Yep.
if there's money out there and you got it, I don't know. It just was
Yep, I'll look into that. It's, in my experience, the money coming through the FAA would be challenging to position for that. They, a few years ago, they no longer funded apron expansions. But I will say that there are other pots of money, particularly towards utilities and critical infrastructure that
Just
could be
maybe
used.
water and sewer.
Yep.
Because
Yeah.
we, getting the gas and electric in, that's pretty much there.
Yeah.
But the water and sewer, since it's city-owned,
Yeah.
keep it all in-house, maybe.
Yep, and to get you up to speed on some other, we're also aware of, in the city too, it can be so cost prohibitive to extend water and sewer, it can stymie or prevent development from happening anywhere, not just the airport. So I do plan also on looking at economic development at the airport, and that would certainly be one of the aspects.
And just if we can't get any money, maybe, from the FAA, maybe we can throw a stipend on lease abatement for X period of time.
Absolutely, that would be
Just, not a lot, but just
Yep.
something to encourage
yep.
more hangars on those west end lots.
Yep. Duly noted. I like it.
Are you airport manager?
I got one last thing. Winter operations discussion. Wanted to just have a brief moment to talk about winter operations and maintenance. Our crews have been out there quite a bit, doing snow removal. Every year in the very beginning of the year, there's challenges with where to put snow and how to move it. And we have modified our snow storage area so that we could incorporate about 4 more transient tie-down spots near the fuel island, which has been well received and frequently used based on our morning checks and where aircraft are at. But I also wanted to communicate and let the Airport Commission know that the FAA compliance officer in Anchorage emailed me yesterday and let me know that they had received a complaint regarding winter maintenance at our airport. And we don't know who the complaint came from. This is just through FAA, but the complaint indicated that 3 things: that airport equipment was being used to maintain local roads, that airport snow removal was not being conducted in a timely manner, and that NOTAMs were not being filed to provide pilots with accurate runway conditions. So I very promptly emailed back to the FAA and let them know, and this was a courtesy outreach from FAA, wanting to communicate that they received the complaint, that there wasn't, we didn't need immediate action, but we did need to just respond to them and acknowledge that we are aware of our obligations as a federally obligated airport.
Is it a singular complaint, or?
It would appear to be a singular complaint. It's kind of silent on anything other than that. But they did note your response doesn't need to be lengthy at this point. We're just seeking to determine that we're aware of our obligations. So I did email her back and said, yes, we're very aware of our obligations to address those 3 points. Airport equipment only maintains the airport, and we have, firmly met that FAA requirement with no deviation. We have totally separate city equipment for local roads. A likely scenario is that somebody saw equipment at the airport and maybe saw the same equipment elsewhere. And the fact of the matter is we routinely often use city equipment at the airport to supplement the airport equipment. And perhaps that was the
And you
confusion.
probably have
Yeah.
more than one road grader that looks similar.
We do have, the city has M-Series graders just as the airport does as well. So as far as snow removal, I noted that we remove it when it's appropriate. Our airport is, runway conditions not monitored. We do issue NOTAMs. The 3rd item was about NOTAMs being issued. We do issue NOTAMs when we're aware of any condition affecting the safe operation of the airport. We also issue NOTAMs whenever we're out there doing work, and we have done many of those in the last couple months. So I assured the FAA that we're following those. That being said, it is important to recognize when things change, and I think it's appropriate for us to kind of relook at it. We talked about it last year. As we're not a Part 139 airport, and so we're not obligated to have we're not required to have a snow and ice control plan, but We'll probably look at trying to establish a policy that we can point to and manage expectations. You know, a lot of times we'll get users that come from other airports that have different expectations. And certainly a certificated airport like Kenai will have a very different snow removal operations. So, but that being said, we are growing as an airport. We're seeing more and more users, and it's relevant to take a look at how we do things, and we'll do that. And that was my winter operations update, as well as to just get more feedback if you guys have anything in regards to our maintenance activities out there.
Nothing will ever be
Yeah.
perfect, but I think we're good.
Yeah, I mean, to date, I kept my email very brief and to the point in response to the FAA, but at one point I deleted it, but I did say, to be completely honest, the only complaints for winter maintenance that we've received thus far is that we're removing too much snow, which is common in the beginning of the.
And if there's 500 users out there, and that's why I ask if it's a singular complaint, or, is there a dozen complaints? If it's a singular, well, it still needs to be addressed.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I suspect it's a singular complaint. It didn't indicate otherwise from FAA.
keep an eye on it.
Yeah.
and-
Yep, and I'll stay in good communication with the FAA. I've got a great relationship with their office, and they've been very, very helpful, and are a large reason, why the city's received a lot of grants and have done well.
Oh,
So,
no, it's hard to keep everyone happy, and I think, doing a good
Yep.
job at keeping majority of the people happy. And it's safe, it's safe, but you have to address
Yeah.
concerns.
the last thing on my airport manager report is just a real quick update on the paperwork side of things. Tie downs. We've got 18 tie downs on a monthly billing, 18 on an annual billing. We've got about 20 random planes that are not on the billing, and they just pay as you go. We, as I mentioned, opened up 4 spaces in the snow storage area to give transient spaces close to the fuel island. There's been some jockeying in that area. As far as leases go, we've had a couple of changes. At the end of September, we had Lot E4 transferred from Northern Aero to Frederick Reynolds. And then just prior to that, in August, we had Lot H39. Mike Torianen signed a lease over to John Davis, signing a new lease. That was not a lot of lease activity in the last period.
Did you ever collect on those airplanes that were in arrears?
We didn't. I want to say there was some change. Our attorney continued to look into the nuances of deregistered aircraft. That was the big challenge, where FAA was not involved because of the deregistration, and we did not take action on that yet. That concludes my airport manager report.
Okay. Action item 6B, Commissioner Report. I have no report. C, Maintenance Department Manager Report. We do not have Maintenance Manager Sundberg here for report, nor the City Manager report. City Manager Queen is also not here to give a report. Public comments. We have no public for the comments or council comments. Any comments from the commissioners?
The only comment that I have is, I think the snow removal has gone pretty well out there, and especially in spite of the big dump that we had. And, yeah, that's, I'm glad to hear that people feel comfortable to make a complaint or know where to go to a complaint, but I've been pretty impressed with what a good job they've done with the huge amount of snow we had.
And I agree, and I've reached out to Maintenance Manager Sundberg at one point, and he accommodated, and I think they do, with everything they're dealing with, a very nice job. Any input, Commissioner Olson? Any comments?
No, I'm happy with the way things are going.
Okay. Well, I think we've reached the end. The next meeting of the Soldotna Airport Commission will be held on March 17th, 2022 at 5:30 p.m. I think this meeting is adjourned.
Well, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Kurt. Travel safe.
See you soon. Bye-bye.
All right, bye.
Right.
Let me hit